First off, thanks for doing this. Really appreciate it.
No problem.
When they said they wanted to do a Black History Month special here in Grand Junction, I immediately thought of you. I know you even had the joke at the press conference. You're Grand Junction's black man, but you're also doing some really big things here. First, African American head coach at CMU. I've heard you say it impressors. One of how many head coaches?
9 now. 9. It was 8. 9 as of last week.
How many schools?
Out of 143 non-HBCUs.
How does that feel?
Honored on one end, very disappointed on the other end, because I know I'm not that good to be one of those 9. I know that there are a lot of people well before me and currently coaching that are African American that should have the same opportunity. And so we're working every day to put a product out there where people can continue to look at guys that look like me and give them opportunities like I have.
When you first came here, I remember the press conference, you said you wanted to be the team for the community.
Mm-hmm.
That happened really fast for you with everything that happened after George Floyd's passing, murder. What did it feel like to be kind of thrown into that situation? You just arrived at Grand Junction and now you're kind of one of the faces of this very serious conversation.
Yeah, you got to be careful what you ask for because you just might get it. I tell people all the time I prayed for an opportunity like this. Didn't know it was going to come on here on the Western Slope. Didn't know it was going to come at CMU. I certainly didn't know what happened over the summer with George Floyd and just the many other incidents that we saw, involving police brutality or just systemic racism. Didn't know that was going to happen. But when it happened, I felt like I was prepared to say something. I felt like I needed to say something, and I felt like I needed to get this community to realize what's going on outside of this community as well. And so wasn't ready for it, but had to get ready for it as soon as possible. But definitely with the support of President Foster and the whole CMU admin, we were able to get going on some things using this platform.
One of the pictures that's come out from this is you shaking hands with Chief Shoemaker.
Yeah.
What was that communication with Chief like?
Man, people don't know this, but Chief Shoemaker probably had as big an issue as I had with everything that he saw being in law enforcement and seeing how things were done, and they don't do things like that here at GJPD. He doesn't believe in policing the wrong way, and so he made a statement on Twitter, and I saw his statement, and I knew instantly we needed to connect because of what we were bringing here, the type of guys that we were bringing to this community that didn't look like this community. So it was really cool. It was really cool to have a chief of police that is open to listening, but also doesn't agree as well with what he saw. And I thought that he's made a great effort to show us here in this community and show our team that he doesn't agree and he wants to be part of the solution.
One of the things I've heard you say that I really like and appreciate is the importance of having uncomfortable conversations. I think here in 2021, you'd think, we'd be past this by now, and obviously we're not. How has the uncomfortable conversations in Grand Junction in particular been?
Yeah, they've been uncomfortable. They've been really uncomfortable, but they've been welcomed. A lot of people say that they want to be an ally. We don't need allies. We need people that want to change the issue and change the narrative of how things have been going. So we need people that are going to listen, but we need white people to go out with us shoulder to shoulder and help us get this changed. And we talk a lot about checking your own people in our program and then checking your heart. We need that to happen. And so those conversations, although they have been uncomfortable, although they have been disagreed with in some areas, they've been really good because they've been welcomed because of the platform that I have. They've been even more welcomed, and we've been able to really get into some deeper levels of conversation. And I think we've changed some hearts along the way.
That's beautiful to hear. When it comes to change, that's what one of the things I've heard you talk about and speak to is we need to turn talk into action. Over the past year that you've been here, what is some of the talk that you've seen turn into action?
Yeah, well, speaking on campus, first where I am all the time, President Foster really formed a committee, that was called Turning the Corner. And he did that based on, we were trying to turn the corner on racism. he agreed that it's been way too long, and this problem that we have in our country and in our town needs to change. And so that was the first thing that happened. Like you said, we formed a great relationship with Chief Shoemaker. He approached his officers and in his department in making some changes there. There's been other groups here in town that have gotten on board with getting people to form change and kind of break some of these old rituals and old narratives that have been going on. And a lot of people think that it's not here in Grand Junction. It's alive and well here in Grand Junction, and we found that. President Foster changed the name of Walker Field, and I know we're going to talk about that, but that was big. That was big. When you start taking people's names off of things because of what they did before, that's not a fun conversation to have. And so the fact that he went ahead and did that, along with the other things that have changed within this community, it's been awesome to see.
Let's talk about that. Walker Field, I don't know how many times I've covered soccer games and lacrosse games over the past year there and not even thought about it. As a black man coming into the community, what are your feelings when you find out, wait, this is Walker Field named after Walter Walker, the guy who founded the KKK here in Grand Junction? What is that like?
Yeah, it's disappointing. It's disappointing because it felt like we were honoring something or someone that caused so much pain to people that look like me, especially. We normally don't do that. We don't name things after people that don't do great things. And so either we were honoring something that we at one point thought was great from what he did, or we just were ignorant to the fact of what really happened, and we need to realize that wasn't a great thing to happen at that time. And so I think we did that. Again, that was uncomfortable. I was on that committee that had that conversation, and we spoke with everybody. And at the end of the day, we cannot honor something or someone that has a great part in our dark past. Whether you agree with it or not, we wouldn't honor somebody that fumbled the ball in the football game. So we can't honor that, and so I thought we did the right thing by making it Maverick Field now.
Yeah. Can you speak a little bit more to that? I guess I don't know how many black soccer players have played on Walker Field, but there's got to be some kind of line between like the little things that we don't think about, right?
Yeah.
There's got to be a line.
Yeah. Well, it's not so much about black players playing on the field. It's about we have somebody that has a great honor when you walk in there. And it's called XYZ Field. And that person caused death, pain, uncomfortableness to a human race simply because of negative beliefs. And those things in today's world cannot exist. And if we say we are who we say we are, which is about being open, which is about being progressive, which is about being welcoming to all races, all people that don't look like common people, then we had to do that. And so I never stepped foot in the Walker Field to play a game. I only stepped foot in there to watch a game. So it didn't make me uncomfortable, but it makes me feel better that it's no longer Walker Field because we know that person didn't do the right things. And that's not to say that person wasn't sorry ultimately for whatever they did or whatever pain and harm they caused, but we just can't honor that right now.
One of the things I heard you say to Chief was that you want to make this community more comfortable for players coming into it. You're going to be bringing in a lot of African-American players and just players from all over the country, bigger cities that aren't necessarily like Grand Junction. How's that process coming along? Obviously, you kind of can't change people's perceptions over a year.
Right.
But how's that coming?
It's been going good. We answer questions from parents, from black parents, from brown parents, from parents that don't look like the makeup of Grand Junction. We answer those questions honestly. We talk about our personal experience. I got 5 black coaches on staff here, and everybody talks about their personal experience here. And we haven't had to deal with a lot of racism. Not saying we haven't dealt with any, but we haven't had to deal with as much as you would think when you first set foot in Grand Junction. But we try to be open and honest with our parents and our players, and then we try to use that same open and honesty policy with our community. These players are coming here to get an exquisite education and get a great football experience. They deserve to be able to do that in peace without being looked at sideways because of how they look, and they deserve to be regular citizens. And so we're going to continue to fight for that. I think our community has done a great job of accepting that. When you have a black coach, you're going to get black players. That's just how it is. Whether you were getting them before or not, you're going to get black players when you have a black coach. And so I've been very proud of our community for being as open as they've been, because I was wondering on the front end and didn't really know.
Can I ask about life experiences, maybe experiences at college? You went to a historically black university. Can you talk about how that prepared you for playing such a chief role and being such a head of a program right now? How did that prepare you?
Yeah, well, first of all, it probably goes back not to the HBCU that I went to, but just my upbringing, being a part of football, since I was 4 years old all the way till I was 22, I played football. And so when you're in the game of football for 18 years and you're dealing with different people and you're all working together toward a common goal, I think it really helps the world. And that's why I think football is the greatest game in the world. And so when you talk about being my HBCU experience, there's no greater time and than you can have, and no greater experience, in my opinion, than at a HBCU, because you get that same culture. You get a deep dive into black culture from an educational point of view, and it's different. So I've been able to use that education and bring it to a predominantly white institution like CMU and the other predominantly white institutions that I've been at. And I think it's helped. It's helped give administrations a different overview. It's helped for the role that I'm in right now that I can go out and deal with different people. But I think those two experiences combined, being a part of a team my whole life and then getting an HBCU experience, really prepared me. It gave me a different set of tools than the average human being.
I guess we're going to start putting a little bow on this. Can I ask what Black History Month means to you?
Yeah. Black History Month means to me, we get a chance to recognize people that look like me for things that we didn't know they did. We didn't know who invented the air condition. We find things like that out. We didn't know black people are really responsible for over half of the things that we have in this country, and they don't get a lot of credit. And so I think it's a recognition month for us to realize that, not just for black people, but for white people, for other races. Black History Month is not for black people. We've been getting this lesson our whole life. It's for other races to realize the contributions that black people have had in this country. And it also should serve as a reminder that we do belong because of the contributions that we've had and that we've given to America.
On the back of that, what does it mean to you to be making history here at CMU?
It's a beautiful thing. When I really sit back and think about it, I never thought, me being a little boy from Houston, Texas, raised by his grandma and his mom, and never thought I'd be in this situation to be able to give back what was given to me. That's special. That's special to do it at a place like CMU that hired a black coach when that's not the norm. I don't know if they set out to hire a black coach or not. All I know is I set out to compete, and I was able to win in an interview. And I think CMU and President Foster should be the example of what black people want. We just want an opportunity to compete and then let the chips fall where they may. But I know when I walked out of his office, I felt like I had a chance to win. When most cases, I've been in some other offices where I knew I wasn't gonna win, and I predominantly knew that because of the color of my skin. So it's special to me to be here. We fight every day to do our very best to bring Grand Junction an outright football championship because the community deserves it, but most of all, CMU deserves it. And for nothing more, just giving me an opportunity to lead this program.
Coach, thank you so much for your time.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank
you.